Welcome to our weekly reading where we explore all things astrological. We hope you're doing really well and staying safe out there. From our two different points of view in two different locations in the world, we bring to you a unique astrological perspective on what is happening right now across the globe. So here we go. Hi everybody, this is Diana in LA and Cary in the UK, and we're here to talk about this week's stars. As you know, there's been a lot going on. And with Sun square Pluto last week and other things, whenever Pluto's involved, you are out of control. It's a time when you cannot control what's happening or how it's going to happen. And we careen into this week in that same fashion, kind of fumbling our way forward through thick and thin with all of this circus of media and changes in our world and reactions in our world. And it's really a lot to work with. So we've got a big report for you today. And Cary, how's it looking in the UK?
Last Friday, we were talking about important news coming out. And in the UK, the Prime Minister announced that London was going to go into a second lockdown, and it's a tier 2, and in the rest of the country, it's tier 2 and tier 3. This is all around the coronavirus and what it's doing to our country. This week, this continues, and it starts on Sunday with some incredible aspects. What makes it incredible is these aspects are mathematically exact. So you've got Sun squaring Saturn at the same degree, you've got Venus opposed Neptune at the same degree, and you've got the Moon trine Neptune at the same degree. And all through the week, the planets are lining up mathematically in such a way that it's going to be an incredible week. It's going to be a roller coaster week. In fact, it's going to be the start of a roller coaster which comes to a head on November the 12th, when Jupiter and Pluto meet each other. And it's like heaven, which is Jupiter, meets hell, which is Pluto, and they're coming together. So it's going to be very interesting what happens on the 12th. We've talked about this before, but this is the week where it starts. Definitely in the UK, possibly in the United States, but it's a very important week.
Right, so batten down the hatches, because here we go again for another week with so much intensity. That word of careening feels how it feels to me as I watch us kind of take these turns, drive too fast, right? Going faster and faster as we're nearing the election in the United States. There's so much upset energy everywhere you look. Be very wary as this whole week Mercury is opposed Uranus, that in both planets in retrograde, Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, deep inner feelings and emotions, opposing Uranus and Taurus, fixed positions, don't want to move, fighting because it's like my way, not your way. And so we have to work with these energies all week long to be mindful of our speech, to be thoughtful of what we say or what we don't say. This would be a week of zip for me. I would say less and less, I think, because everything's volatile as it's been, for a while now, but it continues to be all the way up to November 12th. And as we get closer to the election, that heat is also increasing as we get closer to it. And remember that on the election, November 3rd itself, Mercury, after being retrograde for 3 weeks, finally turns direct back in Scorpio again. So probably confusion in the ballot boxes, confusion about who wins or something, or false wins. We think this one's winning, but really it's this one. So get ready for just an avalanche of up and down and up and down. What I'm seeing as I'm talking is a car full of clowns. And they're all coming out one after another, after another, after another. And each one of them has cymbals, and one of them has a trombone, and one of them has a poodle. But all of these things kind of surprising, shocking, funny, strange, all of these kind of vibrations are in our celestial air.
And importantly, in addition to that, a lot of confusion with regard to Venus is exactly opposed Neptune. So the planet of love versus the planet of ideals and dreams, and they're in exact opposition. So the messages that are coming out with the Mercury retrograde opposed the Uranus retrograde, nothing is going to seem what it is. It's an illusion. Nothing's going to be straight. And interestingly, I know we've talked about this before, but this Jupiter-Pluto conjunction, when it finally happens again for the last time, in history it's coincided whenever there's been an epidemic or a pandemic, it's come to a crux when these planets finally meet each other and start going forward. And this is the start of that. So it's no surprise to me that the UK has gone into lockdown virtually across the country, and we could be in full lockdown in the next couple of weeks, culminating on the 12th of November when people will see the virus will start to improve. They may come up with a vaccine. It could be positive, but it's going to come to a peak on November the 12th. And what's starting this week is the beginning of that. So you've got the Sun squaring Saturn and about to say goodbye to squaring the stellium where it's been the last few weeks. So that's going to lighten it up a little bit. Mars, which has been retrograding, actually is moving away from the stellium in its retrograde motion. It will be back further along in the next... Mars goes direct on the 13th of November. So that's quite interesting. So in November, everything's going to come to a head round about the 12th and 13th of that month. The results from the American election, nothing's going to be clear. The coronavirus coming to a head, just like these planets have come to a head over many, many years when they coincided with other viruses, with other pandemics. It always comes to a head and resolves itself when these two planets become conjunct and go forward for the last time. And Saturn eventually will be moving out of the stellium, but before that there's going to be an awful lot of change to society, to just about everything as we know it, because now it's becoming a very important time as we lead up to the American election. So Sunday, we got the Sun square Saturn exact. We've got Venus opposed Neptune exact. And we've got the Moon trine Neptune exact. So people who are born between the 10th and 13th in their water sign will feel that this transit quite significantly, the one with Venus and Neptune. And of course, as we mentioned before, all the earth signs who are in their birth month between the 1st and the 4th of their birth month, if you're in earth, will also feel the Mercury opposed Uranus. So all you earth signs out there, be very careful with the communication you're hearing this week, because it may not seem to be what it appears to be. So this is going to be a week where everything changes, but quite quickly, but it won't be so noticeable until the next couple of weeks.
Right.
But it all starts this week.
Right, ramifications will kind of show up in the weeks that follow what occurs this week, because a lot is hidden. It's Scorpio, Mercury's in Scorpio retrograde, and the Sun will be moving into Scorpio on Thursday. And so that is double Scorpio energy, more things hidden, more things not seen, more conversations, secret conversations, lots of secrets going on. And so the tells will occur over time, but they're happening now. So as you navigate yourself through this week, be sensitive to your communications. Venus opposed Neptune, also our ideals and our wishes, and wouldn't it be nice if, and we kind of have these dreamy states of wishing something true, but that can actually create some confusion almost, or false realities. Right? And so keep your discernment meter on high so that when you're hearing things, you can kind of filter through that information to feel what's actually true, not what we would like it to be.
Any important news that comes out on Sunday and Monday shouldn't be taken head on. Look beneath the surface. Look what's the motivation of these announcements, because this Mercury opposed Uranus becomes exact on the Monday. So all these dynamics are going to show very important announcements, very important news, which is going to change just about everything. In the UK, we are changing at the most incredible rate. It wouldn't surprise me in London if we end up in full lockdown before the election and come out of it by November the 12th. Be interesting to see what happens, but this is the week. And with Mars moving away from the stellium and the mixed communication that's going on, as an example, up north in the UK, there's a city called Manchester, and they've now gone into tier 3, except the mayor of Manchester has said to our Prime Minister, I don't accept that. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they deal with that communication, and what takes place this week will probably affect what happens going forward if anybody else who's running a city says to the government, we're not going to partake in this. So we're reaching ahead now. And in the United States, it's the same. You're reaching ahead with regards to coronavirus. You're reaching ahead with this election, which is coming up on November the 3rd. And by the sun going into Scorpio at the beginning of Friday, it's all going to be about the communication that comes out from the politicians who want to be elected on November the 3rd. But the communication is not going to be straight. The communication, you need to look at it and analyse to yourself, take it into yourself, what's the motivation for these announcements? Because it won't be straight. It will be slightly hidden from view. The motivation will be slightly hidden from view.
Right, and while England is on more and more lockdown, in America we're on unlockdown. And so we're out there, maskless or masked, about 50-50 kind of energy about that. And, we're going to find out this grand experiment as we are moving through this very strange year that started last year in October when that stellium began. And that's about when probably the coronavirus was starting, very small, but by January, February, March, we were full on into realizing what we were working with. And it goes on till at least the middle of November, like Cary was saying. So it's going to be a very interesting week. On Thursday, we've got a moon conjunct the stellium, which activates it again in a feeling kind of way, but it'll be trining Venus, so we should feel a little bit of relief and hope. From the end of this coming week, it's only, a week and a half away or so till the election here, so it definitely has this feeling of build up, more and more tension. As the tension's increasing, what's going to happen? There's a lot of fear. So mind your words, mind yourself as you walk through this, and take care of each other as you move through this very interesting, challenging period that we're starting to get towards the climax of, and then it will start to dissipate, but we're still in it, and it's actually this week pretty much the sparkiest it's been.
This is just an important week where if it was down to me, I wouldn't leave the house, because it's one of those kind of weeks. And I would listen to all the information that's been thrown at me and just try to disseminate, as you said, what feels right and what doesn't feel right, because the politicians don't always talk directly. They talk in a roundabout way, and that's very Mercury opposed Uranus. And to have Mercury opposed Uranus direct in Scorpio and Taurus It's going to be really defined this week. It's going to be a very important week, an extremely important week for communication, both about coronavirus, both about politics, which will come to a head in the beginning of November.
Right, and not direct, but actually retrograde. And so that Mercury opposed Uranus is very sparky. And one more thing about that I would just add is that we can look at our world like the politics that are happening in our world right now, and absolutely all of that is true. But also personally, deep emotions coming up, right? So things that have been hidden even from ourselves in our dream state and in our subconscious mind might get triggered during this week. So be thoughtful as what you say and how you choose to say it, or if you say it, like I said in the beginning. This is a time to be very conscious. So, on that note, we wish you an amazing week as the clowns come out of the car in our subconscious minds and in our world. And we wish you a really good week, and we'll see you next week with another Astrocast with Diana and Cary. Have a great week, everybody.
Have a good week, everyone. Stay safe.